All right, this video might be a little long, and the reason why is because it's about my visa process. You asked, and even though this channel is not about how to move to Portugal, I wanted to at least shed some light on what my process entailed in case it could help anyone. And before I start, I want to say that the three most important resources that I use, maybe four, is it three or four? Anyway, the three most important resources that I use were really sirens. I live in a busy street, so there's always sirens. Anyway, the three most important resources that I use were a Facebook group and two YouTube channels. The Facebook group, I'll put the link below, is called Americans and Friends. I think it's in Portugal. And then Driven Spice, of course, love her, love all her videos. And I vegged out on her videos because she was so helpful. And it also helped that her and I both applied through the DC office. And then expats everywhere. I love those guys. They actually had answered questions for me that I had on my process through some of their videos because they vlogged their whole visa process. I did not do that. I'm not very good at vlogging. I'm good at making videos, but I'm not good at doing the whole step-by-step and going out with the camera. So you won't get that on this channel. But what I am going to do for you, and I hope this is helpful, is to outline my process, what I submitted, because I feel like if you can glean anything from it, then I'm helping you. So that's what I'm here for. So I have my pad here, so I'm going to be taking, looking down and just kind of reading some things to you and showing it on the screen. The Portugal visa process is not too cumbersome for me, or I should say it was not too cumbersome for me. For me, it was fairly straightforward. But I'll start at the beginning for those of you that are considering the move. This is what you will have to do, okay? I'm not an attorney. And I'm not a visa facilitator, so I'm only giving you what I did, and hopefully it can help you. So let's get started. First things first is that you have to figure out wherever in the country you live in, and I do have to say this is for US citizens. I don't know beyond being based in the US, I don't know what your process would be like. And I also don't know what your process would be like if you are a US citizen living outside of the US. From what I know and from what I've been told, you need to apply from your home country. So if you're living outside of the US, that might be from the US Embassy, from where you are. I don't know about that, so I can't speak on it. But if you're in the US, what you want to do is you want to go to the website, vfsglobal.com. I'll put a link below in the description, vfsglobal.com. VFS facilitates the visa process for a lot of different countries, including Portugal. I was reading on their website and they have done like over 200 million applications since they started back in the early 2000s. So they're the ones that you are going to apply through if you are located in certain geographical areas within the US. So if your home base, I know this for sure, if your home base is in Georgia, then you're going to apply through the DC office. If it's in California, you apply through the San Francisco office. I don't know about the other states, but when you go onto their website, you can find which office you're going to apply through. Okay, so first things first, this is for everyone. You go to VFS Global. I know some people have to apply through the consulate or embassies directly, but at least for Georgia and California, I know that is through San Francisco and DC VFS offices. Okay, so you have that part down. Now, if you join the if you join the Americans and Friends group on Facebook, go to the files section. The files section has an incredible wealth of information on everything you need applying to the visa, moving to Portugal, all that good stuff. So really spend some time marinating in that file section because you're gonna find out so much good information. So there is a document called, is it S2 Portugal Residence Visa Process and Tips? I think that's it. Let me go to the files right now because I have it pulled up, but I wanna make sure that I'm giving you the correct name of the file. Oh, here it is. It's 2021 visas and permits. It's about the 6th or 7th one down in the file section of that Facebook group. So if you click on that, it's been very well put together. You scroll down, you read the information, and there's a heading called Required Documentation and Timing. Okay. So I'm going to go through the requirements for the D7 visa. I don't know about the other visas. I know that I qualified under the D7 visa, which is also known as the passive income visa. I think it might also be known as the retirement visa. I'm not sure, but I applied for the D7 visa. I make my income from the States. So that's something that you should know. If your income is location independent, meaning that you don't go into an office every day, you don't have to report to an office every day, you make your money online or some other way that you don't have to go into a physical place every day, then it will be a good visa for you. There's a million different income situations. There's real estate income, there's other kind of investment income. There's income from your W-2 employer that if you don't have to physically be there, that's location independent income. I think that you can apply, but check with your attorney, check with VFS, check with your visa facilitator on that because I want to make sure that I'm giving good information. And again, this is just my process. So what you need to apply for the D7 visa. You need the application, which I believe was only 2 pages. You need a passport that's valid for at least 6 months after the expiration of your 120-day visa and 2 recent passport size color photos and a copy of your main passport page. I'll go through all this in detail. Proof of legal status in the country that you're applying from. Personal statement declaring the reasons why you are seeking residency in Portugal, proof of financial means and proof of sufficient funds, proof of a funded bank account in Portugal, and I don't speak Portuguese yet, I'm going to call it the fiscal number, and I'll explain to you what that is, your FBI criminal record certificate if you're age 16 or older, the release request for a Portuguese criminal record check, proof of private health insurance coverage or travel insurance with medical benefits, proof of accommodation. That's been tripping a lot of people up lately. Proof of accommodation, which could be a property title deed, a rental agreement, terms of responsibility form, or property loan agreement. And it says for VFS Global, hotel and short stay, i.e. Airbnb confirmations are accepted, and a copy of your marriage certificate and your children's birth certificates when children are also applying. I think that has to be apostilled as well. So apostilled or apostilled, I don't know how to pronounce that. So that's what you need. I'm gonna go through what I submitted because I feel like that would be helpful for someone. So let me go through my process. And if you are in the group or if you join the group and you type in my name, Prachel Carter, I made a post on, I believe it was October 25th, and I literally just detailed everything that I'm going to go over with you right now. So it's a lot. And It's totally doable though if you're doing it by yourself or you're doing it for yourself and one other person. So it is a lot of information and paperwork, but it's completely doable. So if you want to hire a lawyer to do it, then hire a lawyer to do it, but you can totally do this yourself. I know that for a fact. There's several people that have done it themselves, and although, you know, like I said, there's a lot of paperwork, it's completely doable. So I started our process in early August. I started the process with getting my fingerprints done. So anyway, on August 7th, I submitted our application and fingerprints for the FBI report. So what is the FBI report? You have to basically show that you don't have a extensive criminal history with the FBI. Basically, anything that pops up on your FBI report, I think that the basic rule is that if it's punishable in Portugal by more than a year, then you may have some problems getting through the process. But if it's less than a year, and especially if it's old and it was something minor, and don't get me started on what minor stuff is. We both have very clean reports, so I don't really know what minor would be. If it's, you know, maybe I don't want to start naming stuff because I don't know. I'm not an attorney. But if it's something small, then it's okay. So this is where you go into the group and you ask if you've got something in your FBI report or your criminal background history, and it was either old or it was something that was small. That's when you want to go and ask. I don't know about felonies. I don't know about misdemeanors. I don't know about any of that. I just know that we went and had our fingerprints done. The process there is that you go to the FBI website, and again, I'll put the link below. Everything that I say, I'll put a link below. That way you can just kind of follow along. And you fill out like just some basic information, name, address. I think you put in your social, and then it tells you, you click on a link and it tells you where you can go and you can get your fingerprints done. I live in Atlanta at the time, and I chose to do the Midtown post office in Atlanta. If you go to that post office and you go in the back to the passport office, that's where you get your fingerprints done. It's not very visible. There's no clear signage to where you get your fingerprints done, but that's where you get them done. And if you live near a post office that does that service, I think the fee is about $50. It costs $19 for the FBI check, and then the fee for fingerprints was $50 per person. We got our reports as we were walking out of the post office. That's how fast it is. So like I said, you start the process by going to the FBI website. I'll put that link below. I think it's FBI Identity Report, but I'm not sure. But you start that process, and then you just click on a link, and you can see where the nearest place to get your fingerprints done is. And once you do that, the post office electronically sends your fingerprints to the FBI. That's how quickly you can get your report. It's really fast. You get your report in email. Now, they also mailed a copy of our reports, and that came really quickly. On here, I have August 7th when we went to get our fingerprints, and I think that we had gotten our physical copies like 4 or 5 days later. It was really, really fast. Now, this is the part that I got tripped up on, and I think Driven Spice got tripped up on this too, is I did not realize that when you get the physical hard copy of the report in the mail, if you don't open it, like don't open the envelope, then you can use that as part of your application. If you do open it, which there's no reason why you need to open it, because you get an email copy, you're gonna know what it's gonna say on the inside, because you're gonna get it emailed to you and it's gonna say the same exact thing. If you do open it, then you have to get it what's called apostilled or apostilled. I don't know, say apostilled. So what that means is that you have to get it authenticated. It has to have a stamp, and just don't open it, because if you do open it and you have to get it apostilled because they were so backed up, that could take like 6 to 8 weeks. So here's what happened with me is that I didn't realize that if you don't open it, that you didn't have to get it apostilled. I thought you just had to get it apostilled anyway. So I paid the $55 to Monument Apostille Services, which was a great service, by the way. $55 per report, which came to $110 to get them apostilled. And what happens is you go to their website, you upload your email report, and then you wait, and they will send you a confirmation. And I think what they do is they print it out and they walk it over to, I think it's the Department of State in DC. And I think that service takes like 6 weeks for the Department of State to return back to you. It's a long, drawn out process. Unless you just want to have an apostilled record, VFS DC does not require it if you don't open the physical copy, okay? So just don't do that. It's not necessary. Get your FBI report, go check the mail, put it on your desk, forget about it. Don't open it. You already know what's in there, okay? So the next thing that I did is I emailed VFS Global to receive a mailing label to send in our applications. And then they sent an invoice a few days later for $30. I don't know if that was completely necessary, because if you just go to FedEx or UPS or DHL, I think you can just mail in your application. So I don't know if that part is completely necessary. I think you need to check with VFS to see if you actually need a label from them, because when you get the label from them, it's a FedEx label anyway. So, I don't know if that's necessary, but I did do that. And because, like I said, we are an unmarried couple, but what I wanted to do is tie our applications together as much as possible so that they would be processed around the same time. There's no guarantee that it actually works, but for us, it actually fared pretty well because our applications were processed together, and we really did appreciate that, okay? So after I got the mailing label from VFS, I put the applications, like I said, into one envelope. They go to the same place, so I'd save some money there and put them all in the same envelope. On August 31st, they received the applications. That was Monday, August 31st. So the fees for that were $90 for the embassy fee. The VFS processing fee was $36. And the courier fee was $35. And that's what I was just talking about with FedEx. It was like $35. So all in all, it's not that much to get your application processed. Now, what VFS does is VFS checks your application, make sure you have submitted all of the required paperwork, and then they send it to the embassy in DC. Again, I can only speak for DC because that was my process. I don't know about the other embassies and how they work, but I know that VFS forwards your entire application to DC. Now, the next day, this was actually what concerned me. The next day on September 1st, we both got notifications in our email that said that our apps were oh, wait a second. We received the notification that our apps were forwarded to the consulate. So that wasn't concerning, okay? So we were happy about that. And we just knew, that, this was like going to be like this really quick process, even though like we were told that it was going to take 45 to 60 days, I think. we just knew that our applications were going to magically be approved the next day because I knew that we had submitted very complete applications. So I thought it was just going to be like this really quick, turnaround, and we were going to get the notification to send in our passports the next day and everything was going to be great. But no, that's not how it works. So I did get a notification on that day. This is what concerned me. Got the notification that our apps were forwarded to the consulate. So that's a good thing. That means that everything was complete and it was forwarded on to the DC consulate. But then like a few hours later, we both got emails that said it was like a FedEx return label that was generated. And I was thinking to myself, why would they be sending our applications back? Well, what that is, and hopefully I can lessen someone's pain that gets that email. All that is that they're generating a label for you to send in your passports, and that happens at the end of your process. So if you get 2 emails from VFS, one that says that your application was forwarded to the consulate or the embassy, and another one that says that a FedEx label had been generated, don't worry about that second email, because all that means is that they're generating a label for you to send your passports back in when it's time to do so. So please don't worry about that. Now, 2 days later, on September 3rd, my partner received a call from VFS asking us to pay the fee difference. So here's what you need to know with VFS Global, or I'm sorry, I think it's the embassy, that the fees for the visa, I think, change on the 1st of every month. I think they go up by like a few cents or maybe $1 or $2. It's not that much, but he got a call that said, okay, since you've submitted your applications on they received them on 8/31, but I guess because they weren't really processed until the next day, 9/1, September 1st, that we were supposed to pay an additional $17 for both of us. So what is that? $8.50 a piece, something like that for both of us. So not a big deal. That call came from a blocked number, and he has a disdain, a lot of us do, for scammers, people that, telemarketers, people that just call unsolicited. So he thought it was a scammer, because he said that when they called, when he answered the phone, he could hear people laughing. And he said, Shell, I thought they were scammers. So he was about to get like a little bit, brash with them, but then they identified themselves and everything was okay. So know that. Now let me talk about Nif number. Your Nif number is, I think it's now necessary for you to include a Nif number as part of your application. Remember, I'm doing this video in February. We applied back in August. Some things have changed by then. So at the time we applied, a Nif number was not necessary, but now I believe a Nif number is. In order to get your Nif, I think there are some online services that do it as well, but go into the Americans and Friends group that I suggested, because there are people that will help you to get it's like an identification number. So I would liken a Nif number to somewhat of a social security number that we have in the States, but it's just not tied to your entire financial life like it is in the States. So we both decided to go ahead and get our Nif numbers, and we used Bruno Alfonso. I think that his calendar might be really booked up now, but that's the name that kept coming up in the American and Friends Portugal Facebook group. So we used him to get our Nif numbers. His fees kind of vary, so I won't put his fees out there right now because we paid a certain amount and I don't know what he's charging now. So you might want to consider having someone do that for you. If you do it in the country, like if you've already been here, some people already had a Nif number. I hear that It doesn't cost anything at the window, maybe like a few dollars to get it, but you have to have a Portuguese citizen sign for you. And that's what Bruno did for us because we were still in Atlanta. We signed a power of attorney agreement and we had our Nif numbers, I think in about 2 weeks, which I think the normal processing time is probably about 7 to 10 days. So it was right spot on. So we actually did have our Nif numbers when we applied for our D7 visas. Okay. So let's see here. Now that happened in, oh, I'm sorry. Wait a second. I need to rewind. We did not have our Nif numbers when we applied. We got our Nif numbers in late September. So I apologize for that. We did not have our Nif numbers when we applied. We got them after we submitted our applications because we just thought it would be something good to have. And thankfully, it was something good to have. It saved us a lot of time as we got through the process and got here during COVID. Some things were closed. So I'm happy that we did get our Nif numbers in advance, although we did not submit them with the initial application. This video is getting very long, but whatever. I'm just trying to give good information. So anyway, let's see. We actually ended up getting our Postal Reports. Remember when I said that we didn't need them? We didn't need them, but we actually ended up getting our reports in late September. So that took about 6 weeks to get the Apostille Reports. Didn't need them. I just set them to the side and I think I still have them, but you don't need them after you submit your application with them sealed. So around the middle of October, I just sent an email to the consulate because one thing that I was unclear about, but now I understand, SEF, Portuguese immigration, is who processes your, who approves your visas. It's Portuguese immigration. It's called SEF, okay? SEF, SEF. So VFS takes your application, make sure that you have everything you need. Then they forward it to the embassy in DC. And then the embassy, I believe, scans your application, all your documents, and submits those to the SEF office, Portuguese immigration offices, and they're all throughout the country. So that's how they did that. Now, after we had sent an email asking for clarification, because it had been like a month and a half. So we were in our 45 days and I just wanted to know if I could just get an update. So I sent a very nice email to the embassy and I just said, just wanted to follow up to see where we were. And almost exactly 1 day later, we get a message back from the representative from the consulate. I won't mention her name because I don't want to put her name out there, but we got a message that said we needed to submit what's called a clarification of income. And I think expats everywhere, I think you guys had this too, where you had to submit a clarification of income because they, in our personal statement, they were not clear on how we actually made our income because we both have businesses. That is something that you need to make sure that you clarify is how you make your money. And so for the clarification of income, what I did was I included our bank statements, which I had already done in our application. So I included our bank statements that highlighted where our income was coming in. So I just took a highlighter, highlighted, the income on our bank statements. And I think that I want to say that I did like 3 months worth for each of us. So that's something important. Make sure that you clarify how you make your money. And let's see what else I did. I just overnighted those back. It was like $46 to overnight them. She did not ask for them to be overnighted, but I wanted them to get in quickly. And, that's the quickest way. And in Atlanta, you can go right to the airport. There's a FedEx right there at the airport. And I think they're open until like 10 o'clock at night. And you can get things overnighted pretty easily. You can just walk up to the counter and get them overnighted. Now, okay, so after we submitted our amendment. I'll call that amendment. Let me see. The next thing was about 3 days later, she sent us a message and she said that she had received the paperwork. And then 4 days later after that, so about a week after we submitted our clarification of income, we got the call that we were approved. I have a really interesting story. I'm not going to share it now. I'm going to do another video about it, but there's something very significant that happened in October that it was just bizarre. It was so bizarre. It was a very weird coincidence, but yeah, I'm going to share that a little bit later. So anyway, that was our process. Now, I have my notes in my mistakes and what I shoulda, coulda, woulda. And like I said, I went through with you all the requirements that were needed. So we got our application. Obviously, we had passports and we had our passport size color photos. That's really important. You want to make sure that you have that. Proof of legal status, which I think that's just, I think that was just our passports. I'm not sure how we prove that we're legal. We're legal U.S. citizens. I'm not sure how we did that, but I think that's just your passport. Personal statement. We did write out 2 personal statements. We did highlight why we wanted to move to the country. And when we were asked to clarify our income, then that's where we put, we added information on how we were going to transfer money into the country. At the time, we used our U.S. bank statements. We did not have bank accounts here in Portugal. Now we do, but we did not have them yet. So that's something to keep in mind. They do want you to show that you have your bank statements, and they want you to show that you have proof you have the means for 2 years, because your initial, your visa is good for 120 days, but when you get your residency, which is another process, I'm going to do another video. I'm going to do a part 2 video for the residency. That's good for 2 years. So you need to show that you have enough to sustain yourself for at least 2 years, or that you're making enough money, or that you have it saved up. I think it's either or. I'm not sure if it's both, but it's either or. Proof of a funded bank account in Portugal. That's new. We didn't have to have that. I just said that. FBI check. I went through that. The release request for a Portuguese criminal record check. Basically, they just want to make sure that you haven't done any crimes here in Portugal. And that's on your initial application, I believe. If not, that's something that you can just download from the VFS website. Proof of private health insurance coverage. I loved who we use. I'm going to put the link below, but I loved who we use for our travel insurance, which is Trawick International. Very good rates, very easy to get, and they ticked off all the boxes because you have to have certain requirements to show that you have travel insurance with. I think it has to be covered in Portugal, and you have to have I think it's $30,000 in repatriation insurance in case you have to come back to the country of your residence for any reason, and that's in your coverage as well. Proof of accommodation. We actually ended up converting our accommodations into a lease here. So we did submit 6 months of bookings, but we actually ended up just getting a lease here when we got here. So we did submit that, but we got a lease when we got here. And the copy of the marriage birth certificate, that's only needed for children. And then because we're not married, we didn't have to submit that. So that's it for the visa process. I hope that this shed some light. This is almost a 40-minute video, but I just wanted to tell you and to show you our process. Now, the next video I'm going to do a part 2 video, and that's on the SEF. SEF is, I can't pronounce the Portuguese, the Servicios. Gosh, I know it, but I can't pronounce it. So I'm just going to call it Portuguese immigration. It's easier for me to say that. So what happens with your visa is once you get the call that you're approved. So on your application, I'll rewind. On your application, you state the date you want your visa to begin. So what we did, and you can't have a date that's like more than 90 days out from application. So if you apply on September 1st, then the latest date you can have is December 1st. Remember, your visa is good for 120 days. Okay, so during that 120 days, you can enter into the country 2 times, just 2 times. So that's it. That's all you get, is you get 2 entries into the country, and then that's it. So we applied on, remember I said we applied on 8/31. I think they just kind of gave us that day because I wasn't supposed to send the applications until 9/1, but you know, if you count forward 3 months, that's December 1st. So I think they just kind of gave us like that day of leeway because we want our visas to start on December 1st. We didn't come here on December 1st. We decided to stay during the holidays and to come to Portugal early last month, which is early January. Your visa is good for 120 days. So our visa would be good from December 1st to March 30th. During that time, we are supposed to establish residency. So that's going to be the next video that I do. This video is getting really long, so I want to make sure that I covered our visa process, how we got here legally, and then I'll go into the SEF process next. There's some very interesting things that happen with SEF that I want to make sure that I cover. So anyway, this has been Prachel with Fearless Vixen. Thank you so much for watching. I put my website below, fearlessvixen.org. This channel is all about being a free spirit and increasing your vibe, living your best life. And this is what we have been doing, what I've been doing for the past few weeks, or actually it's been over a month now here in beautiful Lisbon, Portugal. So I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.